everybody. This time we are going to read Mariana the Goldilocks fairy. You know this, Alice and Balena fairy. I read it. So this is the second story of the storybook fairies. Now let's read. One, puppet problems. Christy Tate was walking along the river path towards the story barge, feeling thrilled to her fingertips. She loved books, and the Weatherberry Storytelling Festival was like a dream come true for her. Even better, she was enjoying every moment with her best friend Rachel Walker, who was staying for a whole weekend. This day just gets better and better, said Rachel, slipping her arm through Christy's. The storybook picnic was amazing, and now we are going to see a puppet show put on by Alana Yarn. I can't wait! Alana Yarn was one of their favorite authors. She was running the festival, which was being held in Weatherberry Park. The girls were attending every event they could. They had just come from a giant picnic, where they had eaten food inspired by their favorite stories. There had even been a cake in the shape of a very large storybook. What was your favorite food at the picnic? Christy asked as they reached the story barge. I can't decide, said Rachel after a moment's pause. I loved the Alice in Wonderland unique cupcakes, but the Peter Pan fairy cakes were delicious too. They were standing next to the story barge now, and there was a sign on the path advertising the show. Alana Yarn's Perfect Show. Come along and guess the story. Come on, said Christy. She stepped on board the creaky old story barge. A short ladder led to the upper deck, which was piled with books. Inviting armchairs were dotted around, as well as plump floor cushions. Lots of children were already on board, looking very excited. Let's find a seat, said Rachel. I want to look at all these books. The girls settled down on a large blue cushion, and they were soon sharing a book that they had been longing to read. Just as they finished the first chapter and exchanged happy grins, a head popped up from the wooden staircase that led down to the lower deck of the barge. It was Alana Yarn. The puppet show is ready, she announced. Come on down to the lower deck, everyone. The story is waiting for you. The children made their way downstairs and gathered on a large, shaggy rug in the middle of the lower deck. At the far end of the deck, Rachel and Christy saw a small stage with a tall, stripy puppet there and a large trunk. The trunk had a curved lid decorated with pictures of fairy tales characters. Alana was standing behind the trunk, and as soon as all the children were sitting down, she lifted the lid. I'd like you to try to guess what story I'm going to tell, she told the listening children. Look carefully at the puppets and see if you can work it out. First, she took a large hand puppet of a girl with long blonde hair. Then she placed some props on the stage. Rachel and Christy watched as she set out 3 beds, one big, one small, and one medium-sized. Next, the 3 chairs appeared. One big, one small, and one medium-sized. Finally, Alana took out 3 porridge bowls and looked around with a smile. Any ideas? She said. Almost all the children raised their hands, looking excited. Alana nodded at Rachel. I think the puppet show is going to be about Goldilocks, she said. Quite right, said Alana with a laugh. Now I wonder if the girl next to you can guess which puppets I will bring out of the trunk next. Christy laughed too. Of course, she said. The 3 bears. A puzzled look crossed Alana's face. Oh, that's not right, she said, sounding confused. Rachel and Christy glanced at each other in surprise. If they weren't the 3 bears, what could the puppets be? Alana reached into the trunk and pulled out 3 green puppets, complete with big feet, knobbly heads, and long noses. They were goblins, too, into the bookworm. The other children laughed as if Christy should have known. How come you think it was bears? Asked the little boy sitting nearby. Your friend just said that the story was Goldilocks. Yes, Goldilocks and the 3 bears, Christy agreed. Don't be silly, said the boy. Everyone knows that it's Goldilocks and the 3 goblins. The other children nodded in agreement. That's my favorite story, the boy went on. I love how the 3 naughty goblins make such a mess in the cottage. That's not what happened, said Christy, but no one except Rachel was listening. The girls shot each other an anxious look. They knew exactly what was happening. That morning, Rachel and Christy had met Elda and the Lena fairy. She had whisked them to Fairyland, where they had met the rest of the storybook fairies. Mariana the Goldilocks fairy, Rosalita Rapunzel fairy, and Ruth the Red Riding Hood fairy. They were all very upset. Jack Frost and his goblins had stolen their magical objects, and their stories were in danger of being spoiled forever. Whoever held the magical objects had control of the stories. The fairies always used their objects to make sure the stories went as they were supposed to and ended well. But Jack Frost and the goblins wanted the stories to be all about them, so they were using the magical objects to go into the stories and change them. The girls had already followed the goblins into the story of Thumbelina and helped her to marry her flower prince. But there were still 3 more magical objects still to find. I'm so happy that we are able to help Elle get her magical thumb ring back from the goblins this morning. Christy whispered, but it looks as if Mariana the Goldilocks fairy will need our help too. Someone is inside the story right now, changing the bears into goblins. Before the story starts, would anyone like to come up to the story stage and look at the puppets and props? Alana asked. The children sprang to their feet and hurried across to the puppet theater. Everyone wanted to have a closer look at the beautiful puppets, but Rachel and Christy held back and stood next to the props table. They looked at each other worriedly. What shall we do? Asked Rachel. It's obvious there are goblins inside the story of Goldilocks right now. How can we stop them? Christy bit her lip. The fairy dust in our lockets would take us to Fairyland, but we wouldn't know where to find the storybook fairies. Besides, we need to get into the story of Goldilocks, and I don't think my fairy dust can do that. She rested her hands on the table and dislodged one of the porridge bowls with a clatter. She picked it up to replace it, and then Mariana, the Goldilocks fairy, fluttered out from underneath. She was wearing a blue pinafore dress, and her red shoes perfectly matched the bow in her golden hair. exclaimed. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get you away from the other children. Quickly, we need to find a place to hide so we can talk. This way, said Rachel, darting behind the perfect theater. Chrissy followed her, with Mariana fluttering at her side. The other children were still crowding around the puppets, so no one noticed the girls slipping out of sight. When they were safely hidden behind the puppet theater, the girls looked up at Mariana with eager smiles. We're so glad you're here, said Christy. Something has happened to the Goldilocks story, and we think that the goblins must be inside right now. They are, Mariana said at once. That's why I'm here. They've got my magical spoon, which means that they can change whatever they want in the story. It's a disaster! I had to find a way to make a Goldilocks story go as it's supposed to do. Yes, with 3 bears, not 3 goblins, said Rachel. Exactly, Mariana agreed. Elle told me how amazing you were this morning, helping her to get her magical submarine back from the goblins. I was hoping that you might be able to help me too. Of course we will, said Chrissy at once. We can't allow Jack Frost and the goblins to spoil the best stories in the world. A smile spread across Mariana's face, and she pulled up a tiny book from inside her pinafore. She held it out to the girls, and they leaned closer. The title was written in tiny golden letters, Goldilocks. Mariana opened the book. The writing was so small that Rachel and Christy couldn't read it. But Mariana tapped the page with her wand, and a twist of gold sparkles spun out of the book. The twist grew bigger until it swept the girls up, and all they could see was a glimmer of gold. They heard Mariana's voice above the whoosh of the swirling fairy dust. The Goldilocks stories magic repairs. The Goldilocks story needs magic repairs. We must stop the goblins and find the 3 bears. Together, I know we can succeed, and the goblins will feel very foolish indeed. 3. Bear trackers. Gasping, the girls landed in a pile of leaves. They looked around and saw that they were just outside the white fence of a little cottage, surrounded by a wood. They could hear birds twittering among the branches. Fluffy white clouds floated overhead. It all seems very peaceful, said Rachel, feeling puzzled. I thought that the goblins would be here already, causing mischief. Suddenly, the door of the cottage banged open, and a little girl with blonde ringlets burst out. She ran down the garden path and slammed the gate behind her. Are you all right? Asked Christy as she and Rachel scrambled to their feet. I hope you're not going into the cottage, said the girl, panting. It's an absolute mess. I couldn't wait to get out of there. It's absolutely horrid. Wait, are you Goldilocks? Asked Rachel. Aren't you supposed to be inside the cottage, testing out the chairs and the bed? I'm not going to sit on any chairs or lie on any bed in there, said Goldilocks. It's filthy. She tossed her ringlets and ran off to the woods. Rachel and Christy exchanged worried glances. Come on, said Mariana. We have to find out what's going in there. She fluttered over to the gate, and the girls hurried up the path. Goldilocks left the door swinging open on its hinges, and Rachel gave a loud knock and waited. No one came to the door. Oh dear, Goldilocks was right, said Christy, peering through the doorway. It's in a terrible mess. They stepped into the cottage. The front door led straight into the kitchen, which was in a floor. Every single pot, pan, and plate seemed to be on the floor. Pieces of broken china were scattered all around, and all the cupboard doors were open. Someone had burst a bag of flour, coating everything in white powder. Tomato sauce had been squirted onto the table, as if someone had used it to draw pictures. The kitchen taps were running, and the sink was about to overflow. "This is awful," said Mariana. The three bears. The kitchen taps were running, and the sink was about to overflow. Rachel darted over and turned the taps off. "This is awful," said Mariana. The three bears. "You'll keep this cottage spick and span. I can't believe that they would leave it in this state." "I'm sure they didn't," said Rachel, pointed to the floor. "Look, I think the goblins have been here." There were large, muddy footprints all over the kitchen tiles. "Those are definitely goblin prints," said Christy. "But they're not here now." Rachel stepped back outside the cottage, gazing down at the path. "There are more prints here," she said. "Let's follow them," said Christy at once. "If we can find the goblins, we might be able to get Mariana's magic spoon back." "But these aren't goblin footprints," said Rachel, kneeling down. "They're paw prints, big ones, medium-sized ones, and little ones." "The three bears," cried Mariana at once. "It must be them. We have to follow them and find out what happened here." Rachel stood up and followed the prints down the path. "It looks as if they went into the wood," she said. "It might take us a long time to track them. Bears will be able to move through the woods more quickly than us. Not if you can fly like me," said Marina with a smile. She waved her wand, and the air shimmered with magic as Rachel and Chrissy shrank to fairy size. Seconds later, they were fluttering beside Mariana on gauzy rings. "Let's go," said Christy. "We have to find the bears and find out what the goblins have been doing." The paw prints led the fairy toward the center of the wood. It grew darker as they went deeper, and they were surrounded by strange noises. Christy reached out her hand, and Rachel squeezed. "I'm glad you're here," Christy whispered. "This one is a bit spooky." Rachel smiled at her, and then Mariana let out a squeak of excitement. "I see them," she explained. "Look!" They were flying toward the huge, thick oak tree, which looked strong and ancient. Its branches reached up so high that the fairies couldn't see the top. On the branch closest to the ground, a baby bear was snuffling his little nose. A medium-sized mother bear was sitting on the branch above, and a few branches further up was a very big father bear. They were all trembling so much that the leaves on the tree were shaking. "What's wrong?" asked Mariana, rushing to the biggest bear. "Don't be upset," cried Christy, fluttering over to the mother bear. "There's nothing to be afraid of," said Rachel, hovering beside the baby bear. "We're here to help. What's happened?" "Oh, just right." "It's been so scary," said Mummy Bear, her voice shaking. The day started happily. We were playing in the woods, and it was such a sunny day that we decided to go home and pack a picnic for lunch. But when we got home, we heard a terrible rocking inside our cottage. Daddy Bear went on. "I peeked through the window," said Baby Bear, "and I saw three scary green creatures inside. They were horrible. They had big feet and long noses and really many expressions. Chrissy and Rachel exchanged a knowing glance. The goblins, they were making a terrible mess, said Daddy Bear. We ran into the woods to hide. We don't want any trouble. Why would they be so mean? Because they're goblins, said Rachel with a sigh. That's your idea of fun, said Mummy Bear. And that's your idea of fun. I'm scared to go back home, said Mummy Bear. But we didn't pack our picnic, and Baby Bear is very hungry. We don't know what to do. We've just been to your cottage, said Chrissy. It was a mess, but the goblins had gone. It's safe for you to go home. Besides, we'll come with you, Mariana added. And we know the goblins, said Rachel. We won't let them scare you again. I don't know, said Mummy Bear. But Baby Bear's stomach gave a big, hungry rumble, and he looked up at his parents. Please, let's go home, he said. I want my feet. Soon the three bears were hurrying through the woods while the fairies fluttered beside them. But when they reached the cottage, they all stopped in dismay. There was a lot of noise coming from inside. They could hear bangs, crashes, and high-pitched squawks. The goblins were back. I've changed my mind, said Baby Bear's voice. Mom, I'm not hungry after all. We'll just stay in the woods, Mummy Bear added. We won't let the goblins drive you out of your home, said Chrissy. Wait here, and we will go and talk to them. The bears retreated behind the nearest tree, while the fairies flew over the fence. There's an open window here, called Mariana. They flew into the kitchen and landed on the draining board. The three goblins had made even more mess than before, but now they're sitting around the table in front of the three bowls of porridge. They're all wearing blue dungarees and straw hats. Yum, yum, said the smallest goblin. Porridge is the best, especially when it belongs to someone else, added the medium-sized goblin with a snicker. They each took a spoonful of their porridge. Ow! Shrieked the smallest goblin. Too hot! Yuck, rumbled the biggest goblin. It's stone cold. But this medium-sized goblin said nothing at all. He's too busy tucking into his porridge. Mariana took a step forward. Look, she said suddenly. The medium-sized goblin is using my magic spoon to eat his porridge. He kept spooning it into his mouth until the bowl was scraped clean. Then he leaned back and patted his tummy. Just right, he said in a smug voice. Perhaps he will forget to pick the spoon up, Chrissy whispered. One of us could grab it. But just then the goblin reached out a bony hand, picked up the spoon, and licked it clean. Then he tucked it into the back pocket of his dungarees. Disappointed, the fairy slipped outside behind a saucepan and watched. The smallest goblin got up and walked over to the fireplace, where three chairs were gathered around the fire. He sat down in the smallest chair. The medium-sized goblin plumped himself down in the next chair. The biggest goblin took the biggest chair. This chair is just low for me, the smallest goblin grumbled. My bottom keeps getting stuck and it's much too hard. Well, this one is too big and squashy for me, the biggest goblin complained. It's swallowing me up. Only the medium-sized goblin looked happy. "This one is just right," she said. "I'm so clever, I picked the best one." "Oh, is that so?" huffed the biggest goblin. "We'll see about that." He tipped the medium-sized goblin out of the chair and sat down in it himself. Squawking in fury, another two goblins started to push and prodded. "Try to get him moved." "I should have the just right chair," wailed the smallest goblin. "I'm the little one." The medium-sized goblin sat on the lap of the biggest goblin and bounced up and down. They fell to the ground together, shouting and scratching at each other. "This is our chance," Rachel whispered. First fight. The fairies flew across the room to try to take the spoon while the goblins were squabbling, but the goblins were rolling around the floor too quickly. Then the smallest goblin clambered onto the just right chair, and the other goblins let out a